Hello and welcome to another episode of our From the Helm series, live here at the ASX Midcaps Conference this September 2025. I'm Grady Wulff, Senior Market Analyst with Bell Financial Group. Metal Powder Works Limited, or ASX MPW, is a transformative industry-disrupting welding technology company that seeks to change the economics of fabrication. John Barnes, Managing Director and Founder, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so thrilled to have you in our hot seat to discuss everything about Metal Powder Works. So for our investors who may not know the company, can you give us an overview of what the company does?
Sure. As the name would suggest, we make metal powders and we sell those to the market using our own intellectual property that we have US patents on.
Absolutely. Now, what is the status of your recent automation upgrade and 24-hour continuous direct powder operation, obviously trademark direct powder?
Yeah. So we did a number of projects this year, a little bit backed on our path to what we call the next gen system. So we have our primary system that we developed years ago. Now we've really been running that system for quite a while. We figured out all of the dead time, where can we squeeze out every productivity. So the next gen system will be 25 times more productive than our current system.
Wow.
Okay, so with that, we needed to do a bunch of testing and trials. So we divided it up into prototypes and pilots. Some things are specific to next gen. Some things will be utilized on the alpha system as well as on the next gen.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of this automation has come in. And primarily the reason for that was when we did, we're mostly engineers, so we like to look at numbers. So we did a pretty massive study of productivity, and our number one cost driver used to be labor.
Oh, okay.
Used to be labor. So we have now really taken that out as even a consideration.
Wow.
So we will typically have a technical officer or an operator managing 4 systems.
Wow.
And now Jeff can leave in the afternoon, and the machines keep running overnight.
That's fantastic and really enhances efficiency, which is what investors obviously want to see in this day and age in this market. How soon will you be doubling production capacity and deliver meaningful revenue uplift, especially with this automation now intact?
Yeah, well, that's the key. You know, this year was really doing 2 things. One was investing in the sales team and market development, so people knew who we were. We were, a small startup prior. Having a sales team prior to this year, I was the sales team.
Oh, wow.
So maybe a good salesperson for an engineer, but maybe not a great salesperson overall. So I'm really happy to have sales professionals in helping us out. At the same time as we were doing that, because it takes a little bit of time for them to get used to the market, the product, et cetera, we made a lot of investment in the automation, but also in adding capacity. Yeah. So now we actually have inventory for the first time that we've not had previously. So now when the salespeople sell something, we can actually ship it in a short period of time.
Perfect.
So that's been our focus this year, really to set up, I would say mostly for next year, which is, so this year I think we'll have about a 20 metric ton capacity. Yep. By the end of next year, we should be at 200 metric tons.
Yeah. So with what you're producing, for our investors who may not understand the metal powder that you're producing, what's the end use?
It could be a lot of things. So in some cases, it's parts that go in anything from nuclear reactors to repairing a surface for a mining operation.
Okay. So there's a diverse range of where you're selling to at the moment. So a lot of different customers. How is you've got a cash balance of 6.3 million. How long is the runway at a scaled growth rate?
Well, we actually have a cash balance of about 20 million now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm a bit behind.
We did a sort of a cap raise
very recently,
very tight, about a week ago.
Yeah.
And so we're now sitting at about 20.
So that's a pretty good balance at the moment.
Yeah, so we're pretty healthy in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. So growth is on the horizon, I assume. What are the main cost pressures you foresee, and how do you plan to protect margins as you scale?
Well, the cost piece is something that we've really focused on, almost for different reasons than protecting margin, but it kind of comes naturally. So with any manufacturing process, we've tried to be very aggressive about our costs because, we're mindful that other people can try to come in and do what we're doing.
Exactly.
So patents are nice, but you've also told everybody how to do
how to do it, yeah.
So the idea that I instituted was being very aggressive on cost, because at the end of the day, that can't hurt you at all.
Yes.
So if we reduce our costs, we either have margin improvement, we can offer better value to the customer. So we had a great example with hard chrome, where we can offer them a better price than what they're paying.
Okay.
If they get a lower price, they can actually claim more work, because as a repair process, projects that wouldn't have been viable at a higher price point now become viable.
Okay.
So there's more repair work that can be as a result.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a bit of a counterintuitive observation from me, but it was interesting to learn that.
And it opens up a whole new book of customers for you.
That's correct.
What differentiates MPW direct powder processes from conventional metal powder processes that you've seen in the market in terms of cost, yield, effectiveness, things like that?
Yeah, so our primary competition would be in the form of atomization.
Okay.
Atomization is basically, shot towers are the first form of atomization. Modern day atomization is about 50 or 60 years old. So there's companies that make those atomizers. They sell them to other businesses to manufacture powders and sell the powders. So we're a little bit unique in that we have our own intellectual property that we use to manufacture powders with.
Yeah.
So I always like to say I can buy the same atomizer that everybody else has, but they can't buy my powder process.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and we will look at that, especially as we advance into the future, because ultimately providing a service to the customer says they want to be able to come in and place a purchase order for 24 materials.
Yeah.
And it could be that our process isn't adaptable to certain materials.
Okay.
So we're in the business of selling powders, as the name suggests. It's how powder works. And that's really where we see things headed.
How do you approach regulatory and qualification hurdles that you've seen in the market for your powders?
Yeah. So being a materials engineer and having worked through qualification of products with Airbus and my old company, Lockheed Martin, very familiar with this process. And so I always tell people with additive manufacturing, this is a patient game.
Okay.
It's at least 2 years. And the reality is we don't know all of the tests that are going to be required, because until you get the results, it's great if they came in at expected, but then somebody always has another question about some result that you get. So that's the nature of that game. The way we're hedging that is by looking at that powder metallurgy business, and that the hard crumbs of the world, 6 weeks to go from never producing that material to getting a second PO.
Wow.
So, that's very much the balance that we wish to have. We know that additive manufacturing is coming. It's a high growth market, and very interesting. There was a conference that I was at the beginning of the year in New York City, and one of the analysts showed that the material consumption now exceeds equipment revenue. So this means that more people are making more parts using additive manufacturing.
Yeah.
So this is a good sign, especially if you make powder. But so we're very excited about it, and I always ask people to be patient there, because we don't control the end result.
But it does diversify earnings, which is what investors obviously like to see as well.
That's right.
Now, what are your revenue and gross margin targets for FY26, especially as you ramp up production?
So we're trying to maintain about a 50% gross margin on our products.
Yeah.
And we do that twofold. One is by being very aggressive at our costs, and then also moving into that next gen system, which will allow us to have higher productivity. Our capital costs are really quite low. So the next gen system, for example, would be 25 times more productive, but it'll only cost twice as much.
Okay.
So that's, again, how we will maintain that. And so we always need to be mindful that the customers need to get something out of it too.
Yeah.
So we typically try to look at what a 20% discount from what the market price is, and we try to be at a 50%, and hopefully there's a gap in between there that we work out.
Sounds like the finances are well underway there as well. Which markets or sectors do you expect will provide the biggest growth momentum heading into the new year?
Well, I think for us, initially, it's going to be what I call the industrial market. So metal filters, repair, kind of the wear surfaces and things like that. Things that aren't quite as maybe sexy and alluring to people, like airplane parts and submarines.
Yeah, defense, all that stuff.
But the thing about airplanes and submarines is they work in a demanding environment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of testing that's required to get in.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, what can investors expect on a news flow front over the next 12 months from Metal Powder Works?
Well, this is always the tediousness between the customers who don't want to be talked about and our need to educate and communicate with the investors. So this is, I would say, a live argument that we have just about every week. About what we can talk about and what we shouldn't talk about.
Well, hopefully there's enough to keep investors excited over the next 12 months. John, thank you so much for joining us today. And I really hope you enjoyed that episode of From the Helm with Metal Powder Works here at the ASX Mid-Caps Conference. If you did, be sure to subscribe to all our YouTube channels to stay up to date with all market commentary, insights, analysis, and of course, exclusive interviews just like this one.